surgery just a couple of weeks ago and spent about 4 days in the Mayo Clinic. So I've got, I'm not supposed to stand for more than 10 minutes at a time for the next several months. So I'm giving very short speeches. All right. But Brian was with me all day. He wanted to be with me, but he went back to the ranch today up by Watertown because our pastor is leaving our church after 15 years, and he was going to be there tomorrow morning while they celebrate and thank them for all their service. So I hope that's okay with you, and he went back to represent our families. The kids were all out here with us all week, except for Booker. I think most of you know that Booker is out in San Francisco, California, being missionaries to those on the streets that are struggling with drug addiction. He's working with some ministries out there and working with a couple of pastors out there that are doing what they can to turn California around. So he's got a heart for people and a heart for the Lord. So he is not with us, but he's going to be home with all of us. And next week, Kennedy's getting married. Like literally in 6 days, Kennedy's getting married. Which I told her, I said, I don't know what you're trying to do to your mother, because that's like 3 or 4 weeks before an election. And you're my finance chairman. What are you doing? But I figured, for the last 12 years, I've kind of messed up these kids' whole life, haven't I? I mean, really, when you look at what I put my kids through, Brian and I, with running for office and all the things and sacrifices we made them to do, and I think about when I was in Congress, I missed 2 of Kennedy's 3 proms. I missed 80% of her basketball games. I missed every single one of Cassidy's school plays that she was in. I figured by the time I made them change and everything and do without their mom so many times, I probably wasn't going to tell her when she could get married. So, it's just going to be a small ceremony with just the immediate family, but we're really looking forward to it. So Cassidy's been up in Rapid City all day. She's on the board for Right to Life. And they've got their state convention. And so she was there running the youth program. I don't know if, in families you're not supposed to pick favorites. But I don't know if you've seen pictures of little Miss Addie, my grandbaby, but she might be my favorite now. She's pretty cute, but she's a pistol. So if you don't follow us on Facebook, I would do that just to look at Miss Addie because I post about her a lot. She's pretty cute. She's got a little pony named Sparkles that she loves, and we almost brought Sparkles out for the Buffalo Roundup this year, but I couldn't ride, so we're going to wait until next year so Addie can be there with us. Cassidy's pregnant. She's having another baby in January, and we're going to have a little boy. I wanted to bring the Lieutenant Governor up here just to greet you all too, because a lot of people focus on the state of South Dakota and why we're successful, and a lot of people point fingers at who does it and what decisions are made, and I've just been so incredibly blessed by God to have a teammate and a partner like the Lieutenant Governor. He is someone who has integrity, passion for this state. I can talk to him about any policy issue, and he'll remember the debate that we've had and the discussion on it for the last many, many years, and he's just been an invaluable partner. I'm thrilled he's willing to run for re-election with me too, and I wanted to give him the chance to come and greet all of you. You welcome the Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you all for having us down here. It is my favorite part of the job is getting out and talking to conservative Republicans around the state, and I know that this is a hotbed of conservative Republicans, and that excites me. I'll tell you what, the last 4 years have been the most incredible years of my life, and specifically since the pandemic, because I've never in my life thought we'd see an issue in our country that would define conservatism and Republican values, let alone to be alongside a governor who took a different path than 49 other governors. Literally, to this day, it kind of makes gives me goosebumps when I think about it. Because we had a state, the governor said 4 years ago that South Dakota could lead the nation by example. It because we're small, we can be nimble. We have conservative values, the work ethic, the people. And so when the pandemic hit, the governor had a couple qualities I think that lacked among 49 other governors, or wasn't as strong. First, she's tough. She's tougher than nails. I've used a few expressions about that. I can use it in this room. I've always said the governor's tougher than a Waffle House steak. But she has other qualities. Top among them is her Christian conservative values and her keen understanding. And we talk about it all the time, but too often doesn't get practiced. She understands that our rights are given to us by our Creator. They are endowed to us by our Creator. If you understand that our rights are not granted to us by government, then you also understand that government has no authority to take them away. Other governors were doing mandates, we're doing shelter-in-place orders and mask mandates and closing businesses, and worst of all, closing our churches. That was incredible, unbelievable. And had it not been for one governor that stood out and said, no, I don't have the authority, I will not take away rights from the people. I will instead inform them and allow them to exercise their counterbalance to great rights, liberties, and freedoms is personal responsibility. And the governor trusted the people to make decisions for themselves and exercise their own rights, and that's what set us apart. And that's why we have the strongest economy in the nation. People are flocking to our state, and they're coming here for the right reasons, because they want a piece of the freedoms that we enjoy in South Dakota. So I won't ramble on anymore.
I'm just going to stay up here, because I'm going to take a couple of questions from you guys, because I think that's a little bit more fun. But I want to remind you about how important this election cycle is. I've never seen an agenda from the liberals so much to destroy this country.
Yes.
And I want to tell you something that's happening here in South Dakota, because we're doing fantastic. We have the strongest economy in the country right now. Our incomes are going up faster here than anywhere else. They've gone up 21% in the last 2 years. Our kids are outperforming students from any other state because they stayed in their classrooms and their parents. Less than 600 people in the entire state of South Dakota that are on unemployment right now. They're taking unemployment benefits. That means everybody here gets up and they go to work every day, and that's pretty special. You know, we have so many good things going for us here, and sometimes I wonder if South Dakotans don't take it for granted. Because frankly, there's a large percentage of people that shows up in all the polling in this state that think the state's going the wrong direction. Now in this room, I'm guessing you think the state's doing the right thing.
Yes.
We protected fairness in girls' sports. We made sure that critical race theory was not going to be taught in our classrooms or in our universities. We stood for truth and made sure that parents had more control over and flexibility over how we raised our families, and made sure that everybody had personal responsibility. And we've got more money in reserves than we've ever had in the history of South Dakota. We've paid down debt. We funded huge infrastructure projects without the help of the federal government. We did it ourselves because we're setting historic revenues in the state because we kept taxes low, people's businesses expanded, and people came here and started their business, and women-owned businesses are doing better here than they are anywhere else in the country, because all we did is what conservatives have always said they believed in. We just did it, and it worked. So people ask me all the time, Kristi, why are they trying to destroy you so much then? And it just is. They're trying to destroy me because they don't want to have an example of where people work together in a state that did what conservative principles are, that prove that it works. If they defeat us in this election, then they send a message to the rest of the country, don't you dare be bold and be conservative again, because the people will hold you up. And we can't afford to let them do that. We just can't afford to let them do that. So I want to ask you all for your help tonight. I want to ask you to help me make sure people know the truth. My opponent could not be farther from me in values and how he votes and how he acts than anybody else. Listen, he has voted for more spending, for more debt. He has marched with Black Lives Matter. If you remember that night in Sioux Falls when the violence broke out and those rioters moved across the city and destroyed the mall and lots of private property, broke into businesses, shots were fired. He was marching with that group that night. He's voted against all of our bills that would have blocked critical race theory from the curriculums in our classrooms. He didn't help us protect fairness in girls' sports. I don't know why that guy's cheering. My opponent has been voted and has been proven to be, by his records, be the most liberal member of the South Dakota State Legislature. And there are people that are voting for him because they think he's a nice guy. And listen, leadership has consequences. I was telling a group of folks that we met with today that the Lieutenant Governor and I make decisions every single day that back up our principles and our values. When it comes to the Department of Health, we're deciding what does sex look like on our birth certificates in this state. What procedures are we going to cover with Medicaid in the state? What are we going to do at our Department of Corrections, at our prison systems to back up if we're going to really help people be rehabilitated or if we're going to keep them on government programs for the rest of their lives? These are decisions that a lot of people think, oh, she said this one thing and it ticked me off and they're going to vote her out, but they don't know how in every single thing that we do, who you have in that position matters, and it makes a big difference. So leadership does have consequences, and I would ask that you go out and help us make sure that people know the truth and the big difference between me and Jamie Smith. I don't know if you watched the debate that we had last night. We made a lot of those points very clearly, but I'd like to ask you to share facts and information on your Facebook pages, that you would talk to people. We have a team that's going out and knocking on doors and talking to people, making phone calls, and we can put out TV ads and radio ads, but nothing's going to make as big a difference as you going and talking to your neighbors. Nothing's going to make as big a difference of you sitting down in the cafe and saying, you know what, who are you going to vote for? And then say why you're supporting us. Boy, it means the world to us. And listen, this country's divided. But that's not our story here in South Dakota. We love each other. We get people all the time that have moved to this state because they wanted to be like us. And they remember what the darkness felt like, the heaviness felt like, the mandates felt like in their state. And they came here and they felt like they could breathe for the first time. They could make a decision and they could be trusted and respected by their government. Some of those people that have lived here their whole lives are taking that for granted right now. And they don't understand that this really is a big election. We have to have one place in this country that pushes back against the federal government. You don't understand how this White House is out to destroy us because of what we're doing.
Yes, we do.
They've cut our Forest Service contracts. They're trying to kill our VA facilities. You know that better than anything else. They're even giving up more jurisdiction to outside activist groups of federal lands. Black Hills is going to be under attack by activist groups because of what the White House is doing. And we are going to do everything we can to protect and fight for you. We will stand up for you every single day and for our rights, but we can't do it if we don't have the opportunity to go forward and to continue to work together. So I'd love to have your help and your support in all of this.
You got it.
Do any of you
You got it.
A lot about a water project down on the Missouri River where they're going to pump water out of the river.
I've been hearing a lot about that too. It's some kind of a 2,000 acre holding lagoon that they'll pump water out, and then when it runs out in low electricity times, it'll generate electricity. I don't know anything about it. I've heard about it the last couple of weeks. We'll learn more information. It's down by Gregory. It's not under our purview. It's not going to deal with any of our state agencies, but I've told them that I'm going to find out more about it if it truly is planned. Yeah. Anybody else? Any questions for us? Thank you, Kristi, for putting the fight on for South Dakota.
Yes.
Well, so here's my dilemma tonight. I gotta drive back to Pierce tonight. So, I'm gonna maybe step out and leave a little bit early, because I gotta take the lieutenant governor with me too. I hope that's all right with all of you, but I've got a bunch of meetings tomorrow in Pierce, so that I'm okay leaving for Kennedy's wedding on Friday, if that's okay with all of you.
Yes.
If I do that, but I'm so thankful to be with all of you.
Christie, you know what we say to the president.
To the president?
Yeah, let's go, Brandon.
Let's go. Can I tell you a funny story?
Yes.
Is that when I found out what the injury was in my back, you know, and none of the surgeons in South Dakota wanted to do surgery on it because they said, you know, we could do a lot of nerve damage. You'd probably drag your legs for the rest of their life. And I didn't really want to be the governor that was dragging her legs. But I was going to have a phone consultation with a doctor from Mayo Clinic that was a neurosurgeon that specializes in difficult back surgeries. But they gave me his name and his contact to call him at the specific time, and his name was Dr. Biden. So when I called him, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, oh yeah, his name was Mohammed Biden. So this is kind of a joke, and so then as soon as I called him and I said, Dr. Biden? And he goes, okay, let me explain my name. He said, I'm much more aligned with your ideals than I am with the president. Yeah. But I told him, I said, I feel a little bit bad for you because everybody has an opinion. As soon as somebody says, because he said, as soon as I say my name, if they love him or hate him, I'm going to hear what they think. But he was absolutely fantastic and fixed me up, and we're going to be good. Yes, ma'am.
How can we keep our renters and farmers from selling their land to China?
Oh gosh, well, we have a law on the books already that sets a limitation. How many acres is that? 160 acres, so no more than 160 acres could be sold to a foreign entity, a foreign country like that right now. I'm guessing though from the conversations that we've had, we're researching it. But also I know there's legislators that have discussed with me how we can tighten that up to make sure that we're not selling any land.
Yes.
Is there any limitations on renting land?
On renting land? I don't think so. Could be examined or long-term leases. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you heard this week, but we announced as well that we are going to put forward and pass and sign into law the largest tax cut in the entire state's history. We're gonna That's going to be, we have grown our economy so much and increased and paid off our, you know, we've increased our revenues that are coming in on a consistent ongoing basis, paid off our debts, and have such a financially stable state that we are putting money back in the pockets of every single South Dakotan by repealing the sales tax on groceries. Specifically allow us to fight the inflation that Joe Biden is bringing on this country. His policies are driving up the cost of food. His policies are driving up the cost of gas this winter. With as cold as it gets here, a lot of families are already struggling with their budgets, even though our incomes have been going up and they've been protected. We're going to do all we can to make sure that South Dakotans are protected from his policies and the damage that he's doing to them financially, not only to that, but to their freedoms and their liberties. I want to just remind you of one more thing. I know it's easy to sit back and to think races are okay, they're going to be fine, not going to be controversial. I would encourage you not to do that. Because when we win races and we can go forward and put people in positions to help protect this country, let's just remember that we need your help because there's no other place like America. This is the last place on earth that is the nation that truly gives you the freedom that you have. If we lose this country, where are you going to go? Okay, so when you get out of bed in the morning, you think, you know what, today I'm going to watch football. Saturday to take it off, boy, please don't do that until this election is over. We've got to have a turnaround in this country. We've got to send a strong message so we can stop this president from destroying the country. All right? Thank you. Yes, sir.
You're obviously doing great work for South Dakota. What do you see? Can you give us your thoughts on how the role South Dakota plays and you play in the national debate to help push these things forward?
Well, I just think that we're more doers here than talkers. So everything that other governors and other states talk about, we just do it and prove that it works. One of the things that, I was reminded the other day, the Oklahoma governor was sharing with me, he just said, I was at an event with him, and he had probably 250 of his people there that I was helping him and talking to him about some policy issues on agriculture stuff. But he said to that whole group of 250 of his people, he said, I brought Kristi here but for this reason, because she's an expert on ag stuff, but I also wanted to tell all of you and to make sure that she knew that when she made the decisions that she made in COVID, that she gave us cover. He said she gave us cover because we had all shut down, but when she was the one who refused to shut down and they were all attacking her for us, the rest of us as Republican governors could say, okay, well, maybe we could start to open up again. And so he said, none of us have ever said that to her before, but when she goes out and takes those hits for us, it allows the rest of the Republican governors to come alongside and we can have strength in numbers. And he said, I wanted to be public enough to say that and honest enough to say that. And that was probably the first time that I really thought about it that way. So when we do things here that are conservative, it does impact other states. It gives them more boldness to step alongside us and help us make sure that other states can look like South Dakota and how great it is. So even though we're focused here and every day I get up, protecting this state, just know what you're doing by getting up and supporting us and being trustworthy and welcoming the personal responsibility you get here, other states are watching us. And it's a ripple effect of liberty. It's a ripple effect of people saying, you know what, we can do that too. And that's a good thing.
So, and we need to get the governor off the tape. Maybe we'll do one more question.
Yeah, let's do that one. I always will end with a cowboy hat. I think that's what Go ahead, sir.
Okay, my wife and I are out here from Maryland, and don't do me for that. Everything she has said, don't take all this for granted. This can go away. We are coming out here because of what happened in Maryland. And we were from an agriculture county, Frederick County, Maryland. It's not that anymore. Don't take this for granted. Get out and vote.